Oh, don't be coming on my side. You know, it's the challenges of
Ladies?
being left-handed. Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, good evening, Hermosa Beach. I'd like to call to order the Parks and Rec Community Resource Advisory Commission meeting for Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. I'd like to compliment my fellow commissioners on their holiday joy outfits. It's spectacular. Can we have Michael lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to roll call, please.
Commissioner Maroney,
Here.
Commissioner Horowitz,
Here.
Commissioner Ellman,
Here.
Vice Chair Pizer-Maines, noting the absence of Vice Chair Pizer-Maines. Chair Lang,
Present.
you have a quorum.
Get it? Present. That was a holiday joke. There may be a lot of them this evening. Do we have any announcements? Tom, I'll start to my left. Okay. Tracy? No. Barb?
Oh, just want to remind everybody that the Sand Snowman contest is this weekend, Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. at 15th Street.
That's correct.
So come on down, and we will happily judge you. And then the Christmas movie is the following Saturday, Friday or Saturday?
It is the following Friday.
Friday night, and we're going to watch.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
I have got to watch that movie. I will be there. So
It's a good one.
excellent. We live in an awesome town. This is
And
an
then-
awesome commission.
Chair Ling, I do have the upcoming city events presentation as well.
Thank you very much. I thought Barb kind of did all of them, but
We have even more.
we have even more.
Yes. All right, let's cue the
Go ahead.
presentation. Okay, on this first slide are the events permitted through the Special Events Permit Program, and that is going to begin with the California Great Santa Stroll on December 14th, next Saturday. Then we have the AAU Grand Prix Series volleyball tournaments on December 15th and 26th, and our Community Hanukkah celebration on December 29th. Next slide. And then as far as our city-hosted events, yes, we do have our Sand Snowman contest this Saturday, December 7th at 9 a.m., as Commissioner Ellman shared. And shout out to our commissioners that signed up to serve as judges for this annual contest. Thank you so much. Next slide. And then the next week, we do have our annual holiday Santa Sleigh Parade. Santa will depart from the community center at 3:30 and make stops at Valley Park, Edith Rodaway Friendship Park, and South Park, and then head back to the community center at 5 p.m. for the holiday movie night. And we are going to have, beginning at 5 p.m., pictures with Santa. There will also be games, arts and crafts, concessions, and then our screening of The Nightmare Before Christmas. Next slide. And then the following week after that, we have a Hermosa 5-0 holiday party on December 17th. Next slide. We also have our December excursion, which will take place on December 18th with the Huntington Beach Cruise of Lights. We are currently sold out, but those interested can still sign up for a wait list for a chance to join us should any spots open up. Next slide. And then we have several productions in our community theater and in our second story theater. The link shown on this slide provides for access to our monthly calendar that provides more information on showtimes and tickets for each of these productions. And that concludes the upcoming city events presentation.
Wonderful. December is packed with awesome events. And how can people get tickets for The Nightmare Before Christmas?
So you don't need to sell tickets. The event is, you do not need to purchase tickets. The event is free, but we do ask you sign up in advance, and you can do so at hermosabeach.gov/recreation.
And no toy drive component or anything like that, just open to the community?
Actually, if we could actually bring that slide back up, if that's possible. I can get it up on my end too, if it's difficult here. Yes, in lieu of admission, we are asking everyone to bring a new unwrapped toy for a holiday toy drive.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you. Moving on to presentations.
All right, our first presentation this evening is for the California Great Santa Stroll pre-event presentation. We have Jillian and Paige here this evening to represent for this event and to present for this item. This presentation is a requirement for them through the long-term agreement terms.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jillian Turkmani.
I'm Paige Sachs. Hi, Commissioners.
Hello.
We're so excited to be here to talk about our 6th annual Santa Stroll on Saturday, December 14th. You can go to the next slide. This is a super fun and festive walk from Hermosa Pier to Manhattan and back. It's inclusive, it's very family friendly, and it's even fun for the dogs. They can dress up and enter our costume contest. We have really fun activations on the pier and a bunch of businesses involved. And this year we're hoping for about 1,000 attendees. Last year we had close to 900. And all of the funds raised benefit Michael's Learning Place. We're an organization that provides programs, job training, and employment for individuals with developmental disabilities. Did you want to add anything?
Nope.
Okay. Next slide, please. These are our maps for setup. If you have any questions about them, just let us know. But we have booths along Pier Plaza for different expos, businesses to set up and give out information. And then we have a kids zone on the circular part of the pier. And we do cookie decorating, face painting, caricature drawings, and photos with Santa too. And then we have South Bay Ford set up there. And our start-finish line is right at the strand to the side of our stage. Next slide. We think there's some really positive impacts for the Hermosa Beach community. We try to involve as many businesses as possible. There's a ton of people enjoying the strand and the beauty of Hermosa Beach. And we've done this. This will be our 6th year. So we've loved working with the city and appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments from the commission? Tom? Lauren? Tracy?
Go ahead. It's your baby. I would just encourage everyone to participate, to register and come. It is so much fun. You can join a team. You can come as an individual. You do still get Santa suits with your registration. You can bedazzle them and decorate them. I don't usually do that. And you can look for me. My suit is blue.
Barb?
So how many people participated last year? I know we're trying to have a big record here.
We had close to 900 last year, and we're hoping to hit 1,000 this year.
Are we on track?
We are.
Well, I'll be there again, so I will be in red, but I'm going to try and bedazzle. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for hosting this event for a consecutive 6th year in Hermosa Beach. What businesses are you guys activating on the plaza or throughout town?
So we have a few different peer restaurants and local businesses who have either participated with like a rewards program, bounce backs that we're advertising to our participants. For instance, Tower 12 and Sharky's, Gumtree, Handmade, California, some of those other businesses that are along the pier. We're really trying to work with them to share information about their hours and just get our participants back into their stores and restaurants once we kind of wrap up the Santa Stroll. So those are the restaurants and businesses that are participating and on the pier too.
Awesome, thank you. And if somebody chooses to show up in maybe an elf costume, reindeer costume, or the dreaded Grinch, they can still participate?
Definitely. We'll still let you walk with everyone else. Yes, but it'll be a sea of red, but everybody's welcome to dress up as they like. Some people even dress up their pets, their dogs, as maybe reindeer or Santas or elves too. So yeah, everybody's welcome.
Well, once again, thank you for bringing the cheer, and we'll do everything on our end to help you hit that 1,000-person number, and hopefully next year we hit 1,200. So thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, we'll open it up to public comment.
Lisa, did we have the,
Oh, we do not have to open it up for public comment for this item, correct? We usually don't. Yeah.
It's up to the commission's discretion if they would like to have public comment for the item, but it's not required.
Oh, okay, perfect. Well, thank you. Then we'll move on to Community Resources Director Report.
We had one more presentation.
One
I'm
more
so sorry. I
presentation.
meant
My
to say that
apologies.
before we opened it up to the California Great Santa Stroll presentation, but we actually do have Friends of the Parks joining us tonight.
Oh, beautiful.
To give their overview of all the events that they hosted in 2024. We have Laura on the line, I believe, for that presentation.
Lisa and commissioners. I don't know if you can see me, but I can see you. Thank you for having us here tonight. We are back to talk about our 3 signature events that are all also part of the long-term agreement process with you, primarily to discuss Movies at the Beach, which was our 5th annual event this year in partnership with the city of Hermosa Beach, alongside their concert series, as well as Pumpkins in the Park and Pets in the Park. Pets in the Park we did not activate this past year, largely just due to scheduling conflicts. And so we are planning to deliver that this May. And so I will jump into Movies at the Beach, which we hosted back in September alongside concerts. And we are hoping to be considered for a long-term agreement going forward on all 3 signature events. In particular, Movies at the Beach alongside the concert series. And we're very excited by this partnership, and that's finally come to fruition, largely due to your tremendous staff. And I know, Lisa, your team has put so much work into that process. So very appreciative that we finally made it to that place. This past year, we hosted Wizard of Oz the first weekend, which was very well attended, as you can imagine, followed by School of Rock. Also very well attended, 2 very different films. They were picked through community voting, like we always open them up to. Good costumes, good attendance, great events. I think overall we had really positive feedback on Movies at the Beach. Probably the biggest piece of changed feedback from this year versus other years was that it was a real win to share in infrastructure and production with concerts. So that was fantastic working with Vox. They were very nimble and worked with us on the ground. And that was a cost savings to us. So that was wonderful and makes it much easier to deliver these events. The only significant downside in this arrangement was that, like everything else, it took us longer to get up to speed. And so we didn't as aggressively pursue sponsorships this year. So we ultimately covered any of those remaining costs out of our not-for-profit budget. The sponsors that were involved this year, many of which are returning sponsors, were the Hermosa Beach Friday Farmers Market, Hermosa Beach Rotary, Beach Cities Health via Alcove, Open Water Vacation, and Hermosa Beach Chamber Foundation. So thank you so much to all of those partners. I know some of them may be in the room. And then the only other piece of perhaps constructive feedback that I would mention is that we've noticed, while these events are really well attended and particularly well attended by the community members, we also have some vendors that do show up on the sand. And so we've had to deal with that a couple of times. This is certainly not the first year that we've noticed that. And I know that Lisa and her team are aware of those challenges. And so I did want to bring that to everyone's attention that we try not to be the police on the beach, but occasionally do have some vendors that are trying to sell, whether it's glow sticks or coconuts or ice cream. And since we are not serving food at that event, we do our best to try to, keep that off the sand and ask those vendors to not approach people for cash as part of our event. So that's really the summary of Movies at the Beach. We plan to host again in partnership with the city in September, which we're very much looking forward to. I know this commission helped make the recommendation that we move that event to September rather than the really, really busy period during the summer, which I think we have found that to be absolutely the right decision. September has been a great time frame for this event with the back to school window and sort of an end of summer celebration. So we're happy with that time frame and excited to keep moving that forward. Pumpkins in the Park was held in October this year. This was our 17th annual Pumpkins in the Park, if you can believe it. So that is also a very well-known community event held in Edith Rodaway Park and very well attended this year. I would say this year was slightly smaller than some years past, probably around 150 people, which is close to what we usually bring in at that event. There certainly have been years that have been bigger. And that largely had to do with just how many competing events were happening that weekend. We even came to find out that the city of Redondo had an event at the exact same time that same day, and there were quite a few other Halloween festivals in the area. So we are conscious of that and certainly keeping that in mind for future dates, but planning to host Pumpkins again. That event included face painting, our Halloween marionette show, games thanks to Beach Cities Health via Adventureplex, and that was also supported by Gumtree. So wherever we can plug in local sponsors and support, we always do. Overarching, well-received, and a great event. The only negative feedback that we received, and I believe this is something that this group is pretty aware of, we have had a couple of residents over the years approach us around wanting to bring their dogs into Edith Rodaway Park, and we have always tried to encourage, because this is a family-friendly, kid-centric event, that please leave your dogs at home for this one. And so we did have one instance. I was not present when this happened, but I was told later that there was a relatively disgruntled community member who was insistent upon having his dog there and felt that our event took away from his normal use of the park with his dog. So I did want to flag that. I'm sure that's not the first time that's been raised. And I know that the ongoing conversation about where is the appropriate place for our furry friends and will there be a dog park is something that is frequently raised in front of us as well. So I would be remiss without mentioning that, but I don't think that we had any other issues. And the other suggestion that was made to us was to utilize the basketball courts, which is certainly something that we're open to considering, but I wanted to use that as an opportunity to compliment the city because we were so impressed by how great the basketball courts looked this time. They had clearly just been repaved and looked really beautiful. And so we had no intent to disrupt that this time, but it's certainly something to consider if the commission feels that we should expand the footprint of the event. Other than that, it was a great success. Our forward dates for 2025 are September 6th and 13th for movies, October 11th for Pumpkins in the Park, and this May 3rd, which is upcoming, and we are planning to host that event. And I know some of the commissioners here have been judges in the past, so would love to wrangle your support if interested. And beyond our signature events, we are working with the city in a number of ways. Happy and proud to be supporting the upcoming holiday movie, so we'll have some folks there as well. And then with the approval of the parks plan, we will be supporting the new shade structure at South Park, which we're also quite proud to support.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Any comments? Tom? Lauren?
I was just appreciated knowing about the vendors showing up, and was just wondering if there's any additional information on that. Maybe a question for Lisa. I'm not sure in terms of how big of a problem that's been, and has it been? I'm imagining that we were pretty responsive in terms of getting people down there and taking care of
Certainly,
it.
if there's
Yeah.
suspected to be an unauthorized vendor, then we do have a practice to call non-emergency dispatch, and they will be able to send someone down to inspect if the vendor is in fact unauthorized. There is a sidewalk sale vending permit, but if they're within the footprint of an event site plan, it's likely that they are not ones who have that permit on hand to show that they are authorized to be there. But it's a known problem for events that are reoccurring that bring a large crowd because they know, in fact, that they will. And it's certainly one we're addressing.
Yeah, I could see where that would be very appealing to people. Do we give the, I'm sure we give as part of the package that we give to producers the phone number to call if there are any issues like that?
Yeah, we put
Yeah.
the non-emergency dispatch number in the actual special event permit, but I think what we can do is further call out a process on how to report these vendors, so that it's, because we were really referencing that number for any emergencies that may arise or parking situations, and that's also a resource for that need for unauthorized vendors.
Oh, well, that sounds like a great idea.
Tracy? Barb?
Laura, I was down on the beach, and I thought this year the sound and the screen were excellent. Especially the second weekend, but I was really impressed, and I agree there were a lot of people having a great time. Lisa, my question is, Edith Rodaway, we allow dogs in that park. So how do we tell people they can't have their dog in a public place when there's an event going on, or can we?
We can't say that no dogs are allowed. Dogs
Okay.
are allowed on leash, but we can certainly allow for Friends of the Parks to put on a flyer that, just advise people that for the event to leave their dogs home due to the nature of the event. But yeah, it's not something we can prohibit.
Okay,
per se.
just wanted to be sure. And then, Laura, you said that you were supporting the shade structure at South Park. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yes. And pending Lisa's comfort, we were recently in discussions around, which projects were a priority for the city that we could help fund. And as my board understands it, it's a $7,000 expenditure that the city was prioritizing for this shade structure at South Park, which we are happy to fund and underwrite. And we're also having some conversations around what's possible from a recognition standpoint, and would absolutely be happy to support additional pieces of the rollout for your other parks once we know in which order you'd like to move and pending budgets.
Is that offer of help, is that going to be enough for us to fix that shade structure?
That's what it's for, is the
The entire-
replacement of the
Okay.
structure. Yeah,
So we're on a roll.
we're on a roll.
That might be done in the next couple of months?
I'll have to check on the timeline with Public
Okay.
Works, but it's a high priority
Okay.
project, and we certainly are so appreciative of Friends of the Park supports. They actually left out other things that they've done this year to support Parks and Recreation in the city. They were also part of the Trunk and Treat event this year, and so it's just been really wonderful, and we've just been enhancing that partnership, and we are going to keep Friends of the Parks in the loop on the plans for possible shade structures at other parks too as well throughout the city, because we're evaluating the feasibility of doing that right now as we speak.
Well, thank you so much, because that, the shade structure, unfortunately, is, I think, a quarter of what it was before. So thank you so much for your help.
Thank you, Commissioner Ellman, and you're entirely correct. Movies was very well attended this year, and the sound and video was notably improved, which was not an accident, and a great effort from the Vox team to help us get there. So thanks for being there and coming to say hello.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for all your events. Thank you for carrying on the tradition and the spirit of Hermosa Beach with them. And I'm super stoked to hear that September is a month that's working out for you. And really, really stoked that Vox has elevated your production quality. They're great partners, good folks to work with. And we intend to be working with them significantly in the future. Thank you so much. And until the next event, have a great holiday.
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
All right, moving on to Community Resource Director report, please.
Thank you, Chair Lang. Amari, can you cue the presentation? Okay, so the first update tonight is regarding the winter sand berm that is historically constructed by LA County Beaches and Harbors in front of the lifeguard station near the pier. This year, Beaches and Harbors has informed the city that they will not be building the berm. Next slide. The sand berm has always been built to protect the lifeguard structure and the parking associated with that structure. As you can see on the slide, over time, the beach has gotten wider, and it continues to. So because of this, which is the current and foreseeable beach conditions, they do not meet the criteria for Beaches and Harbors to build this structure. There's no structural risks to the station. Next slide. This next update is regarding the accessible beach mats located at 2nd and 22nd Streets. The past 2 years, winter conditions with strong winds and frequent storms have led to large amounts of sand on these mats, which you can see demonstrated in the photos in this slide. It has been extremely difficult to keep these mats clear during the winter months and maintain them. Therefore, we are going to align with Los Angeles County's practice to reduce the amount of mats from November through March throughout our beach. We will remain committed to the 11th Street mat during the winter months, and we will continue to evaluate options for the 2nd and 22nd Street mats to remain in place during the winter months in future years. Next slide. The next update is regarding the Kelly Court renovation, CIP 619. This project will resurface and reconfigure the Kelly Courts at Clark Field, which will allow for the return of 4 pickleball courts and includes the resurfacing of those courts, restriping of those courts, and also of the tennis and basketball courts, so all courts meet court standards. The design is very near completion, and Public Works plans to be able to go out to bid on this project within the next couple of months. As the current use policies for the Kelly pickleball courts were formed with the assistance of a stakeholder group, which consists of neighbors and pickleball players, and with only consideration of 2 available courts, the department does plan to re-engage the stakeholder group to discuss modifications to the policies now that there will be 4 available courts pending construction. And that re-engagement of that stakeholder group would really take place when the timeline for the construction is actually set. That group would ideally consider the policy updates to provide for open play and balance of open play against reservations. Right now, the 2 courts are available for reservations, and they are booked up most of the time that the courts are open because there's such a high demand through our membership program to make those reservations. And the members of the stakeholder group were certainly made aware when we did the work that we did on the policy. Wish I could remember exactly the year that it was, but it's been a couple years now, that this CIP was going to be addressed, and it may lead to us having 4 courts once again. And it was also made clear at the time that there may be a time we need to re-engage that stakeholder group. And next slide. We'd like to provide a recap of the partnership event between the city and Alcove Beach Cities for young adults 15 through 25 that was held at the South Park building on November 21st. Put a little video on this slide highlighting some pictures from the event and The event was titled Tacos, Tie-Dye, and Thrifting, so kind of sums up what was available at the event. It was a great success. Approximately 65 were in attendance, and the plan is to continue this partnership really and be able to host these types of events quarterly. And as you know, the events continue to build even more. Next slide. As we close out this calendar year, we wanted to provide a reminder and update on pending future agenda items that have been requested by the commission. The first was, and sorry, I should have the months that these were requested in front of me, but I do not. But we had a future agenda item requested to review the contract class program, which is the activities that are programmed through our Live Hermosa Recreation brochure. And really that item was to provide a review of the current programming, a review of the recommendations for programming in the Parks Master Plan, and how the brochure is advertised so that the commission will have all that information in front of them for informational purposes and further discussion. The 2025 spring-summer brochure information is due by the end of the year from our contract class instructors, and that would allow for our brochure for the spring and summer seasons to be available to the community at the start of the month of March. So we will bring this item forward with that brochure to serve as the information on the current programming and really drive that discussion. So we would plan to have this future agenda item before the commission likely at our March meeting. And another item that we have as a pending future agenda item was consideration of a new tier to the outdoor fitness permit program to accommodate local high schools' recreation needs for city facilities. And this really, just to remind the commission, came about in our discussion of the Redondo Union High School volleyball matches and their request to use the volleyball courts within the commercial zone, and how we were really accommodating that request through the special event permit program, and that didn't feel like the most appropriate program to use for those. So this item will be coming to the commission at our next regularly scheduled meeting in January. And the next is park hours. We are preparing this report. Preparing this report is going to require input from our police department, public works department, and city manager's office. We have formed a little staff team to assist in doing that from each department, and we haven't held our first meeting just yet. So the timing of this item to return to the commission is to be determined, but I will certainly provide that timeline as soon as I have it. And this concludes my updates.
Thank you very much. Any questions from commission to staff?
Yeah, a couple. First, that was an amazing report. I love
Thank you so much.
The slides. They help a lot.
Thank you.
The Kings, they're still interested?
They are still interested.
Is there anything we should know that's causing a problem? Is they just don't have the program together, or are they facing some sort of impediment that the city's putting up?
No, there's absolutely no problem. We plan to bring it back to the commission and city council for formal review, hopefully in the month of January, if not then February. We were just trying to determine the timeline that Coca-Cola wanted to actually have the sampling during its event days, because Coca-Cola doesn't necessarily want to have the sampling happen every day that the Kings would plan to program the field or the sport court rink. And so we needed to really have those details ironed out so we can paint the full picture of the event when we bring it back to commission and council.
Lauren? No. Tracy?
I agree with Commissioner Moroni. It was a great report. I do have a couple of questions. In your verbal report, you talked about reducing the accessibility mats, but in the slide, it said removing them on 2nd Street and 22nd Street.
Yes, so it reduces the total that we have available. I'm sorry. Yes, the plan is to remove them on 2nd and 22nd. Just during the winter months, they'd be placed back in those areas in April, and then we would maintain committed to the maintenance for the 11th Street area during the winter months.
Great. And then, I don't know if you can estimate this, but I'm assuming that when we do the restriping and building of the 2 additional pickleball courts, everything will be closed during that time. Do we have a timeline as to how long the pickleball courts will be closed?
That's a great question. We don't have a timeline for the entire construction project, but when we go out to bid, we do want to see if the feasibility on staging it out as much as possible. So maybe all the facilities don't have to be closed at the same time, but it's not really possible for me to say at this point without kind of seeing what we receive.
No crystal ball.
Yeah, yeah. Wish I had one though.
And then just to piggyback on Commissioner Maroney at the Kings, are they hoping to still do it this hockey season? Or if it comes back to the commission in January, February, will it be for next season?
It would be for next September. So they essentially
Okay.
want to take that time frame that we talked about in this calendar year and move it to next calendar
Okay,
year.
so be their next season.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Barb?
Again, great report.
Thank you.
Do we have an update on the volleyball stewards program?
We actually are going to talk a little bit about that in the item tonight under matters for commission consideration. We don't at this time. We have not been able to advance that work, but certainly now with the completion of our Parks Master Plan and our wonderful new special event and filming team members, that's the first project that we want to pick back up after we get the Clark Building use policy and fee structure before the commission, which we really hope to do in January of this coming year. And then it would be right into volleyball court use policy work.
And then you mentioned it. Is there an update on the Clark Building and also on the access on the Greenbelt project?
I believe I know that both projects at this point are still on schedule. So, yeah, everything's going great with both. And we are excited to bring the Clark Building policy and fee structure before the commission and have that in place for the building's reopening.
And the Clark Building Subcommittee, will there be?
Yes, we'll have a meeting. Okay. Sorry, I should not have cut you off there, but I should have added that. Yes, that's part of the work. We'll have the subcommittee meet one more time before we bring it all back before the commission.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, spectacular report. The slides were amazing. And my only comment is I'm bummed that there's no sand berm. I know that brings a lot of joy to kids throughout the South Bay, and it will be missed. It's already been talked about within the younger ages. Where is it when it's coming? So thank you for updating us. Other than that, we'll move on.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yeah, I
Laura,
just
go
wanted
ahead.
to, follow up on that with the sand. It's almost kind of become a winter tradition in Hermosa Beach. I mean, is there any other way that the city, how expensive is it to do? Is it just so cost prohibitive that we couldn't work with the county to do it anyway?
Well, the city actually doesn't have the coastal development permit needed to be able to do that, or the
Okay.
equipment on hand that would be necessary to be able to do that.
So it's much more complicated.
It is much more complicated.
Oh, that's such a bummer. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to public comment.
This is the time for members of the public to address the commission on items on and not on the agenda, but within the commission's jurisdiction. Each speaker is limited to 2 minutes and will be taken in person only. A reminder that if you address the commission on a discussion item, you will not be able to address the commission on the same item when it is heard at a later part of the meeting. Do we have anyone in the chamber wishing to make public comment?
Okay, seeing there's none, we'll close public comment and we'll pass commissioner comments and move on to the consent calendar. Does anybody want to pull any items from the consent calendar or otherwise make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Voting is now open. Chair Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Elman,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Doesn't look like we have any public hearings. We'll move on to item 11, matters for commission consideration.
Okay, thank you, Chair Ling, and we'll queue up the presentation here. Okay, next slide. Okay, so in March 2023, Commissioners Ellman and Maroney were selected to serve on the Parks Master Plan Subcommittee. And as you can see on this slide, those were the tasks that were assigned to the Parks Master Plan Subcommittee, and Commissioners Ellman and Maroney have successfully completed all these tasks assigned to the subcommittee. Next slide. The 2024 Parks Master Plan was approved and adopted by City Council on November 12th, 2024. Next slide. Therefore, tonight's recommendation is for the Commission to officially retire the Parks Master Plan Subcommittee. The retirement of the subcommittee and the onboarding of our two special events and filming team members is certainly going to allow staff, as previously mentioned, to refocus on pending subcommittee work, such as bringing forth the Clark Building use policy and fee structure at the start of the new year to the Commission and City Council, and again, to refocus on resuming the work of the volleyball court use policy and also our municipal lease policy to follow that. And that, oh, I'm sorry, next slide. Commissioner Ellman and Commissioner Maroney, it's been such a pleasure working with you on this project, and I just want to thank you both for all the care and time that you put into the Parks Master Plan and just supporting the Parks Master Plan in general. And this concludes my verbal report.
Thank you. Tom, any comments?
No, it was an honor to do that work, and I think Barbara and I enjoyed doing it. Sometimes it took a lot of time, sometimes it didn't. And I think we both worked hard to make it more commission-focused than it was set out to be, and probably didn't get as commission-focused as Barbara and I wanted it to be, but, you know, there were a lot of people working on it. So I think it came out fine. And, you know, thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Lisa, and all your staff.
Thank
Lauren?
you.
Well, I wanted to thank Commissioners Maroney and Ellman for your hard work on this subcommittee. Thank you so much for your work on that and getting to final product as a team effort. I was wondering, in terms of, I know this is going a little bit beyond this subcommittee, but now that we have the plan, how is the commission going to be involved in that plan in terms of any sort of a presentation of city, I guess, thought processes and priorities so that we can review and weigh in? And then I know there was mention of some future subcommittees to come out of the plan that I'm sure will be then presented our way sometime in the near future.
That is a wonderful question. Right now, through current policy work and planned CIPs or CIPs that are already currently being worked on, you know, some of the goals are going to be met in the Parks Master Plan, and we kind of went through those specific goals that would be met with current work at our joint meeting and also at the council meeting when they reviewed and adopted the plan, and we would continue to keep the commission up to date each time a goal was met through current work that is scheduled or already in place. And then as far as future subcommittees, I mean, the advancement of goals in the Parks Master Plan that are not already addressed through the currently programmed projects would really just require council to consider whether, you know, they were going to delay another project to reprioritize that. So it's really just pending council's direction and advancing goals that we're not already actively working on would just really require a larger discussion at the council level. And as staff resources allow and funding allows, and we're able just to advance goals because we've completed goals and we've completed current work and subcommittee work, then we would come back to the commission, certainly to engage them in that through updates or a subcommittee.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I was impressed by, you know, really the number of projects and the number of items that are already works in progress that aligned with community interests. So I thought that that was really encouraging to see. And then just in terms of looking at this this item, I think I don't know what the process is for doing this or changing this in terms of the agenda format, but I always thought it was really helpful to have on the agenda just an ongoing list of our current open subcommittees, so that both the community can see what subcommittees, what projects we're working on, to remind us of what work is going on, and have that opportunity, because there's already a place for it in the agenda, to make comments or updates.
Certainly, I do know that there used to be a section at the very end of the agenda, which was really just a section to provide updates on subcommittee work, but we've worked really hard to align the commissions with the format of the city council agenda, so it's just easier to follow from one commission to another to city council for community members. And so really the time to report on subcommittee work is during the announcement section. That's not only a time to talk about upcoming city events, but that's also a time for commissioners to speak to the work that they've done as commissioners through subcommittees or meetings they've attended for community organizations, such as like the Hermosa Beach Museum, or the work that Yanni does with Surfers Walk of Fame. So that serves as a time to report updates. And now that we'll be actively working on multiple subcommittees again, that would be a time to be able to report that action.
Yeah, it looks like probably an even better place is the commissioner comments.
I'm sorry, that's the place where the commissioners, yes.
Okay.
Announcements is where you can report on, involvement with community organizations such as the Hermosa Beach Museum,
Right.
Surfers Walk of Fame, and then yes, your subcommittee work time or liaison roles that you may have would be appropriate under the commissioner comments. Sorry, I got that switched in my mind.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Tracy?
No, just echo my thanks to the commissioners for their excellent work, and to Lisa as well, and everybody who made it really easy to follow and to participate, coming in at the end to review it all. So I just appreciate all your work. Thank you.
Barb?
Like Tom said, there was a lot of work that went into this. Staff and the company that we used, and Mr. Johnson, everyone. But it also, although we weren't exactly on schedule, it came in pretty close. And amazingly, I would like to ask Lisa again, how far under budget were we? Can we share that number one more time?
There was initially $650,000 in the CIP, and we came in at approximately $329,000.
So that money goes back into the budget,
Yeah, into the general fund.
a general fund for something else. So it can be done. I think I'm not going to speak for Tom exactly, but we did have an agreement when we sat down that we wanted to walk away maybe a year after with a success of something that was on the wish list that we could possibly get done. And for me, I'll just say right now that I'm hoping that we can find a way to find places for dogs in this town, and there will be a lot of people interested, and I think it's just really important that we don't say no, that we try and figure this out. But we did say that we would like to look at a few things on the list and see what we can get done in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, but not just to file that away on a shelf and say it was well done and it has great ideas. We'd like to try and get as many of those ideas into subcommittees and out with the public as soon as possible. Thank you.
Well, Tom, Barb, you guys did an amazing job. A lot of time, effort. You brought not only the community together, but you brought commission and staff together. That was a wonderful meeting. Thank you for all your hours of work that went into this. And now we have a blueprint for the next 30 years. And Barb, I echo your thoughts on examining and looking further into the idea of an area for dogs. It's something that has been discussed forever, and now's the time. and it was clearly identified in that plan. Thank you to staff for all your hard work on this and supporting it and bringing it to the community. Thank you to everybody who showed up throughout the entire process. And you guys came in under budget. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Congratulations. And I want everybody to hear that. Came in under budget. That's spectacular. So with that said, actually, can we open it up to public comment? If anybody has anything to say? In chambers? Anybody online?
We do have Anthony Higgins online. Mr. Higgins, your 3 minutes will begin once you're unmuted.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I have a question about, there's been multiple statements that we came in under budget. And I just want to make sure that that $327,000 included the money, the $105,000 that I believe was used to hire Catalyst Consultant, who selected RJM or whoever it was that did the master plan. So is it 327 or whatever the number was for RJM, or is it 327,000 including the money for Catalyst Consulting? The second thing I'd like to ask about is there was a spreadsheet in the, since you already opened it up to process questions, there was a spreadsheet in the Parks Master Plan that showed an increase in parks and public works budget from about 4 million to about 7 million, 7.5 million. And I would like to know a little bit more, since it was not addressed in the master plan meetings, about how that budget is going to be used, or is it going to be the basis for future budgets, or what? What is, those are some big numbers. Public Works jumps from 2 million in 2021 to 5.5 million. The Parks Department, Lisa's department, jumps from 1.3 million in 2021 by about $1 million to 2.43. So what is the purpose of that spreadsheet? And did in fact the savings that you're all justifiably happy about include Catalyst Consulting and the 105,000 there, or was the 337,000 just what we paid RJM? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other virtual folks online?
There's no hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you. So we'll close public comment and bring it back to the dais for discussion. Sorry. Anything commissioner staff want to discuss before we make a motion? No?
No?
Lisa, would you like to discuss the question from Mr. Higgins?
Yes, what I can do is respond to if the 329,000 included Catalyst Consulting, and it did. It was for RJM and Catalyst Consulting, the project manager and the firm to develop the Parks Master Plan. As far as the second item, I'd have to look through the appendix a little bit more, and that would certainly all be available in the budget books that we've issued each fiscal year to see what additional services were added to change the budget in each department every year.
Thank you. Anything else? Well, with that said, anytime I hear the word retire subcommittee, I get very sentimental and sad because everybody puts so much hard work into it. I'll ask Commission if there is a motion to retire the Parks Master Plan Subcommittee.
Make a motion that we retire the Parks Master Plan Subcommittee.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Voting is now open. Chair Lang,
Yes.
Commissioner Elman,
Yes.
motion carries.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, moving on to future agenda items. Commissioner, have anything to ask of staff or add to future agenda items?
Lisa, we have quite a few groups that use our facilities, lawn bowling, Little League. It is part of their contract with us to come in and give us an update on what they're doing.
It depends on the agreement.
Okay.
For Hermosa Beach Youth Basketball, yes. For Hermosa Beach Little League, yes. For all long-term agreement holders, yes. But like for the chamber, they do a presentation at the council level per their agreement. And the lawn bowling club, that's a completely separate topic because the city, through the municipal lease policy work, needs to address an agreement with the lawn bowling club because there currently is not one.
There's not an agreement with lawn bowling.
There's not a formal agreement for the use of that space.
So
Or for
how
the-
has that been working for the last umpteen years?
That's really part of the municipal lease work that we are studying and forming a recommendation to address.
And where are we with the municipal lease program and all these different groups?
Where we're at right now is we have a drafted policy. We have a lot of information that we are analyzing in regards to the history of the lawn bowling club. And we have met with all the organizations to go over the draft policy with them. And we need to have a building, well, we would like to have a building assessment of all three of the, well, I shouldn't say all three of the organizations that would be part of the municipal lease policy work because it's a guiding document for anyone who wants to lease space from the city, any organization. But we would like to have a building assessment of the Kiwanis Club, the Rotary Club, and the Lawn Bowling Club. So we just understand the building's needs as we take the municipal lease policy work forward. That can be made aware to the commission and city council.
Do we have groups renting space at the community center?
We do.
And they
Yes.
have contracts?
Yes, they do. We
Okay.
have ARC, and they are using 2 classrooms in the South Wing. They have an agreement, a lease agreement. It's annual. And we have Hermosa Arts Foundation, who has a small office space, and it's an annual agreement as well.
And then we have an agreement with the Historical Society?
We do have an agreement with the Historical Society, I'm sorry, and Friends of the Library as well.
And the 5-0?
The 5-0 is a city-ran program.
City-run okay. So we do have some empty space at the community center right now. We have rooms that aren't being used?
No.
We don't.
No, right now, I mean, we program in all the spaces. Right now, some of the rooms are being used for records, 2 of the rooms in the South Wing, and then all the other spaces are available for rent and programmed.
And the gym, that, when was the last time the gym floor was redone and the,
We do that on an annual basis.
okay. And do we rent that out to adult leagues? Or
Yeah,
for,
yeah, and for open play and youth groups,
'cause I
that,
just didn't feel like I really know what's going on up there. So there is a rental for adult leagues when the kids aren't playing?
yeah, and open play, groups that like to get together and rent the gym and play indoors.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it's really great question. We have several classrooms, and they're available for rent, or we're programming through the contract class program. Hermosa 5.0 programming has grown so much that we're actually programming upstairs as well in those classrooms. So not only are they programmed within the senior center, we're also programming the classrooms. And we also have the rental process where organizations can rent the space and hold their own classes independently outside of the contract class program. What that means is a dance instructor may rent that space, and she's collecting her own cost for that service, and she's not part of the contract class program, but she's offering a service at the community center, just doing so independently. Bollywood is another one that is programmed pretty frequently through the rental program. Garden Club is holding, I'm sorry. And why am I blanking if it's
Hermosa Beach Women's Club.
Women's
They have
Club is holding their meetings
monthly.
there right now. And then the Second Story Theater is also either programmed through the contract class program or it's available for rent through Productions. And the community theater is also available for rent. We don't do as much programming at the community theater through the contract class program. We do so with our events, like our community movie nights. But all of the spaces are used every day of the week, pretty much, throughout the day.
To add to that, I think right now, Base 3 is still closed, so some of the
That's true.
community service officers are using some of the space at the community center
They are
to
there.
operate out of, while Base 3 is still undergoing construction. Yes.
Yeah, so they're actually in our EOC right now.
Anybody else? Well, I'm going to take the opportunity, since we are way ahead of schedule, to get a little sentimental. And really want to congratulate everybody here, from staff to commission and to everybody listening. We had one heck of a year. 2024 was one of the most fly by the seat of your pants, accomplish some amazing Herculean tasks that I think this city has ever seen. We brought the Rams to town last minute. We had to move mountains to make it happen. Lisa and your staff did that. Compliments. And the community couldn't have been happier. The Rams could have been happier. We are going to have the benefit of working with them closely and collaboratively in the future, bringing more special events. The whole world was looking at us. We gave birth to the Hermosa Open, which is only going to bring more opportunity to Hermosa Beach. Once again, an example of working with motivated community members to bring something special to Hermosa. When one door closes, we open several others. We and this commission and the people that we work with, our partners, our event producers, define the DIY, do-it-yourself ethos. Concerts on the beach, we brought back with success. We grew it. We made it better. We elevated the perception. We grew enthusiasm for next year and the years to come. We celebrated the 20th anniversary of Surfers Walk of Fame. We celebrated the 30th anniversary of our skate park. We established the Parks Master Plan, which once again, as discussed earlier, is going to bring this community 30 years into the future. And I know there's countless other events that have made Hermosa Beach residents and our neighbors to the north, to the south, to the west of Hermosa Beach's lives better. Staff, thank you very much. Staff who's not here, Brian, Cambria, and Nick, we need to recognize them. Patrick and Michael, thanks for filling in. And this commission, once again, you guys are spectacular. And I promise that in 2025, with the new addition of our film and special event staff, this department will be under budget and bringing in alternative streams of revenue. So whoever out there is talking about over budget, too much spending, the Parks and Rec department is going to bring in more money. Once the Clark building is established, that's another stream of revenue. I couldn't be more proud to serve with everybody here. Hermosa Beach, happy holidays and happy New Year. See you next year.